On this episode, Faith shares her multiple encounters, and I was able to get eyes on the area, so pay attention to the background. Welcome back to Adirondack Bigfoot. We got a special guest, Faith, today. And we're here to get to know her and learn about her experience she had with Bigfoot. So truly excited. Hi, Faith. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Very good. We were just chatting a little bit offline, and you were sharing that we met at the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, which was awesome. What a great event!
Yes, it was great.
Did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun. Yes.
Yeah, I had a blast. It was really awesome. It's like a last minute thing. I said, you know what? I feel like I need to be there. And I
I
booked the.
feel like I need to be there every year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you go every year?
No, I mean, this was the first time, but going forward, I feel like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. Same thing. That's what I was saying to my wife. We need to plan this out. We could do some
yeah,
other stuff while we're down there, which would be fun.
yep.
Awesome. Awesome. So my favorite was meeting Biko and listening to his presentation and stuff because I'm a big Alone fan too from the show Alone.
Yep.
So I was really excited that he was there. That was super cool.
Yes.
Of course, Myra,
Yes.
our,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Can't
given.
go wrong. Can't
Yeah.
go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. Awesome. So we haven't formally met, so nice to formally meet you. I'm Johnny from Adirondack Bigfoot. I'm located in the Adirondack Park out here in New York State. And what we do is we kind of travel around the Adirondack Park, listening to folks and their encounters that they've had, listening to folks' stories, doing investigations, that kind of stuff. Just really trying to get the word out there and share as much Bigfoot as we can in the Adirondack Park, which is fun.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. And we got
Yep.
big plans this year. We got a camper, a pop up camper. We're gonna run around to all the New York State parks in the Adirondack Park this year. Camp out, explore the area, and see if we can't drum up some encounters.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That would be fabulous.
yeah, yeah. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure if we start hanging flags around, Bigfoot flags and stuff around the campsite, people will start, coming up to
You,
talk.
yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. I would think so. In a camp area, I would think so.
I would hope so.
I would think most people that camp have a Bigfoot sticker on the back of their car.
I would, I do.
Me too.
I do.
Yeah. Here's a funny thing about it. Every time I see someone, like if I pull up at the supermarket, right, and another car pulls up next to me, and I look over and I see a Bigfoot sticker on their car, I immediately jump out and give them an Adirondack Bigfoot sticker.
Nice,
Like,
nice.
yeah. So just trying to keep it alive out there.
Yep.
Awesome. You want to share a little bit about you?
Well, so I'm born and raised in upstate New York my entire life. I
Awesome.
currently live in Utica, which is
Hmm.
right on the outside of the Adirondack Park.
Yep.
And I have been a believer in Bigfoot forever,
Great.
as far back as I can remember.
Hmm.
Um, I have two experiences.
Hmm.
The first experience, so we lived in Otsego County,
Hmm.
in the town of Exeter. And when I say that we lived out in the middle of nowhere, we really truly lived out in the middle of nowhere.
Great.
Um, we had a Richfield Springs telephone number. Our neighbor had a Cooperstown telephone number. Three school districts turned around within a half mile of our home.
Mm.
The other end of the road was not paved, and it was seasonal. You
Yeah.
couldn't travel in the wintertime.
Yep.
And everybody that lived on that road, but two families, were all from the same family.
Oh, wow.
And they were farm people and just big, ginormous family of brothers that had all settled and gotten married and raised their children there.
Yep.
And so the first experience, I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. And my brother and I were outside messing around.
Mm-hmm.
And right off the end of our home was a row of pine trees.
Oh,
And when you're a kid, it was like magical because you pull back the pine branch like you were opening a door and
sure.
you would step into this opening and it was just this big opening underneath all these ginormous pine trees and all the fallen pine needles made the floor that you were walking on soft and
Mm-hmm.
cushy. And when we went in there that morning, it was a Saturday morning. Um, I don't remember what time of year it was, but it was cooler outside. So it was either fall, I believe it was fall.
Mm-hmm.
And we, in that open space, were two very large, enormous beds of hay
Mm.
that had imprints of what to look to be human form.
Sure. Like feet prints or
No, like body prints.
like body print. Okay.
Yeah, you see a chalk drawing of a murder. I mean,
Yeah.
it had the entire bed rolled out, was well over. So my dad was 6'4".
Yeah.
So these beds were way bigger than this.
Wow.
And one was clearly, they were side by side. One was clearly smaller than the other.
Yep.
But they definitely had impression of a human form in them.
Wow. Was this underneath the pine trees or out in the field?
Inside the wooded area,
Okay.
underneath the pine trees.
Great.
So my brother and I both looked at each other and we're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So we went to get my dad. And when we got back there, minutes,
Mm-hmm.
both of those beds of hay were gone.
Wow.
And there was not one trace of hay left on the floor of that opening inside these pine trees.
Wow.
My brother and I were just looking at each other, shocked.
I'm sure. Yeah.
We thought originally, right, that maybe our dad was like playing a trick on us. But when we went back there and he was like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
And there was nothing there because there's no way that he could have gotten in there, removed them. I don't know. It was one of a few bizarre things.
Yeah. How'd that make you feel? I mean, you said shock, but I mean, were you like in disbelief? Did you feel like you were lying to your father? Or do you feel like there was something weird going on?
It just felt it felt surreal, like I mean, we know there's no possible explanation.
Yeah.
My brother and I are 17 months apart in age, so we're not that far apart in age.
Mm-hmm.
um we lived out in the middle of nowhere, so the only two people that we had was each other. I mean, there were other
Yeah.
kids around, but it was few and far between.
Right.
And it wasn't till we were older and cars became an option, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we really lived out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And I think
So
I actually think I don't mean to cut you off. I actually think I know exactly where you're talking about. I drove through there one time and it was the winter and I was using the GPS. Um, and is there a lake nearby?
There are two lakes. There's
Yeah.
a lake in Cooperstown, and then
Yeah.
there's a lake they're considered twin lakes.
Mm.
They were made by glaciers. They're pretty
Oh.
deep, both of them. Um,
But they're like you ain't driving by this lake on a regular road. You got to kind of go out a ways off the beaten path to get to the lake.
oh, well, there are bodies of water like that out there.
Oh.
Yes.
So my GPS took me and it said turn left. And I looked and I was like, That's just snow. I'm not turning left onto that. That's not that
That's
see
just no, yeah.
there may be a road under there, but there's no road under there right now. Yeah, so I had to turn around and do a U-turn and all kinds of stuff. It was crazy. But um how
That's
old and how
yeah,
old were you at that time,
yeah,
Faith, when you
yeah.
had the sighting with the hay beds?
I think I was like seven, 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And
Um
my brother would have been 8 or 9.
Yeah, good. That's good age. You definitely seen, remember things from then. Um,
Yeah,
did you remember, was there any type of smell or anything like that?
that's the strange thing that my brother and I, neither one of us can remember
Mm,
smelling anything out of the ordinary.
yeah.
Because there have been other times when we have smelled some pretty rancid things in that
Oh, okay.
area.
Yeah.
Um, so nothing, no, nothing stood out at all
Hmm.
as far as smell. I think the most shocking thing is that there was not, again, and this was a farm community,
Hmm.
I had a horse. I used to feed the horse. You know what hay looks like.
Sure.
And this was very dry, not green, very dry, brittle hay.
Mm,
And hay makes a mess.
yeah.
When you carry it, when you move it,
Yeah.
it makes a mess. And that there was not one piece of straw left,
Wow.
and they were completely gone within minutes.
I probably would have been questioning my entire reality from that point on. Going, it was here, you know?
You do, and that's why you do, and that's why, like, for years, the actual sighting that I had,
Mm,
I didn't tell anybody. I probably told my brother
hmm.
because I knew that my brother kind of felt the same way that I did, that there was this possibility, you know, we had both seen and smelled things and experienced things out there that were maybe unexplainable. So
Right.
I'm sure that I did tell my brother, but even as an adult, like, it wasn't that long ago, I tried to tell the story, and the woman looked at me and told me I was crazy.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, it was it's not just, you don't have this conversation with anybody.
Right.
I know what I saw.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have a scientific explanation for it.
Yeah.
I didn't get its DNA, but I know what
Right.
I saw. I know
Yeah.
what I saw.
Good. Good. We'll take it. How was Dad after that?
So I think that my father may also have experienced things that,
Mm,
but he didn't talk about it.
right.
He didn't talk about it. He didn't share it. He wasn't mad at us. He just, that was it. And he probably, off to work he went.
Sure.
Even though it was the weekend, he probably went off to the woodlot to cut logs or firewood.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, Wow, that's something. I mean, I couldn't imagine myself. I always try to put myself in other people's shoes when they're sharing their experiences, and I don't know. I would be in complete disbelief and be just, wondering about the universe, I guess, staring
Yeah,
at the stars,
yeah.
you know.
We probably went back to that same place multiple times that day
Mm,
just to see if anything was different or we could find anything to say, haha,
right.
Yeah,
Cool. And nothing though, huh? So nothing, no traces, no
nothing.
broken branches, no trees, no
No, no,
structures. Hmm.
no, not that we came across or at 7 and 8 or 8 and 9 years old, I don't know that we would have recognized it. I
Right.
think because it was our playground,
Right.
we may have noticed something odd or different.
Mm-hmm.
But if that same experience happened to me today, I would be hunting and digging a lot differently.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Was there a water source close by anywhere? Like maybe a pond or a
So,
lake or
yes, yep, there's a stream down the road, and there are some ponds in the area.
Mm.
So, yes,
All right.
very, very spring fed shale kind of environment.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
You got me thinking.
It's a must visit on your list. You have to get to that area. There's a place not far from there. The name of the road is actually called No Man's Land.
Really?
No Man's Land.
All one word or two words or three words?
I think it's all one word. No
Okay.
Man's Land. My brother would know better than I. My brother still lives there to this day.
Sure.
His driveway actually now crosses over where those bale or those beds of hay had been.
Mm.
So yeah, but there are some, just a little bit. We're like, I would say we're between the Catskills and the Adirondacks.
Sure.
But very rural and like I said, just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Um, yeah, I cut through that area often on the way down to Binghamton and places like that.
Yeah.
So that is a good possibility. I'm actually going to Binghamton next week, so who knows? Maybe I'll find No Man's Land Road.
All right. Yeah. It's out in the
Y-
middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, did you want to share your second experience that you had?
Yes. So fast forward, I know it's 1983.
Mm-hmm.
It's June. I am 12 years old.
Mm.
Um, the home that we lived in, my parents put the house, it was a modular home, and they put it on the property backwards so that the kitchen windows overlooked the field and to the woods.
Okay.
And I got up and I went out to the kitchen to get something to drink. And there were three windows overlooking the field.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to open the refrigerator door, which would cover the first window, I saw something black.
Mm.
I was shook. I know for sure that my mouth hung open.
I bet.
I didn't I didn't say a word. I didn't mumble. I froze and
Yeah.
I just watched. So out the kitchen window, off of our property would be a very large, fairly flat hayfield.
Okay.
Above that hayfield would be a mound of pasture where cows would have been kept. And in
Hmm.
that pasture, it wouldn't have it wasn't flat. The hayfield was flat and there was nothing in it. There were no trees, there were no bushes, it was just flat open hayfield
Right.
where the pasture had trees and shrubs and the barbed wire fence, although at that point the barbed wire fence, the gate was wide open.
Mm.
I don't think at this point our neighbors had any more cows in there at that time. And when, and my brother and I being kids, and we had, gone sledding out there and we had wandered around out there in that hayfield and pasture since we were little kids.
Yeah.
So when I saw this black bipedal creature
Yeah.
come down over that hill in steps, that's what really shook me.
I bet. Yeah. And
Uh,
you just stood in shock.
Stood in shock. I didn't take my eyes off of it, not for 1 second. I
Hmm.
had to, in my mind, I was like, take it all in, see what you can see, take it
Yeah.
all in, see where is this going? Um, when he got into the open hayfield, he actually knelt down at one point on one knee
Mm.
and was using his hand, going through the grass, picking something up and putting it in his mouth.
Oh, really?
On I would say at least 3 or 4 times he took something out of the grass and put it in his mouth.
Mm.
Now, at this point, the grass was probably, it's June, it's probably a foot high. I've asked myself a million times what was in the grass.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, one thing for sure is that there were wild strawberries everywhere.
Oh, wow.
Another thing is that when we were kids and we were out exploring whatever, you would come across, you'd be walking in the grass and all of a sudden you would see these little toads going everywhere.
Hmm.
10, 15, 20 at a time.
Sure.
Just just dispersing. Also it being a big open hayfield like that, mice.
Sure. Yep.
I couldn't see what he was putting in his mouth, but I could see his hands going through the grass and it going from the grass to his face
Hmm.
multiple times.
Like handfuls or like pinching
Probably
something or
like pinching, holding something,
yeah.
and putting it in his mouth.
How far away was
Um,
he from where you were approximately?
Probably maybe 300 feet.
Okay. That's
Um,
pretty close.
Maybe less than that.
Hmm.
When he stood up, he cleared the rest of that field, open field, in steps, which is and when I think about that to this day, it's shocking. Because I've walked that field many times in my life.
Hmm.
Um, he was so big.
Wow.
He was completely black in color.
Yeah.
Um, he, when I say bipedal, like if you've witnessed a bear stand up on its hind legs, it shuffles when it walks.
Right.
This thing was stepping in full hip, knee, foot, hip, knee. I mean, it was moving. It was moving. The thing about the direction that it went towards was a more woods, and that swamp is down in there.
Yeah.
Now, the people that live there, which is still part of the kids, grandkids of the family from many, many years ago, I believe they have put a ginormous pond in there, so it's not as swampy.
Oh, okay.
And that family, not far from where that swamp area was, um, on a actual tractor path, not a driveway, not a dirt road, an actual tractor path, they
Mm-hmm.
had a gut pile for anything that they butchered on
Mm.
the farm.
Oh,
Anything left over
right.
went to this gut pile.
Wow.
We used to walk by it when we were kids and ooh and ah and oh, I'm gonna be sick, and oh,
Right.
it's in the summertime it smelled horrendous, and you were
Mm.
like that's the grossest thing ever, and you could
Sure.
hear the flies, and yeah, it was off the tractor path between two of the brothers' homes, and they used it for anything that was left on a butchered cow, a pig, a hunting, anything from, hunting deer, anything left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the direction that this, what I believe to be Bigfoot, that's the direction that he went in.
Wow. And about how long do you think that you had eyes on him?
I would say this probably took 3 to 4 minutes
Okay.
total.
Yeah. Did you get a glimpse at any of the features? I mean, was there fur on his hands, his face?
He honestly looked to be completely covered in black
Hmm.
fur.
Okay.
I didn't see any I couldn't say to you, his eyes were,
Yeah.
no. All I saw was just this ginormous black creature, and it really truly did look like he was covered, completely covered in black fur.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Wow. I would think that that butcher pile that's was keep
That was
keep
a
keeps
snack.
him around.
That was just a snack for him. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot there because, I think about that. I mean, that definitely that just the smell and everything else is probably bringing everything that's living
Oh yeah. I
that
mean,
way.
yeah, and growing up there, listen, we had everything under the sun. We had coyotes, we had foxes, we
Sure.
had deer, we had turkey, we had the only thing that I never saw there when I was a kid was a black bear.
Mm,
Uh it was just not a thing. I don't know if their numbers were way down in that time period. I never ever ever saw a black bear
right.
any of my travels in that area, my whole life, nor did and my dad's 80, let's see, he's 82 years old. He had seen signs of black bear, but had never come across them. um I I think I had mentioned earlier that he logged and had he cut logs and firewood on the
Hmm.
side.
Okay.
And him now up on No Man's Land Road, him and his partner had been, one of them had been running a chainsaw all morning long, and the other one a log skidder, which is a lot of noise, especially out in the middle of nowhere.
Sure. Yeah.
And they sat down on the tailgate and were drinking coffee, and he said, boom, it was on us. I could have reached straight out and touched his nose, but a coyote came right to them.
Wow.
So we saw a lot of wildlife
Yeah.
growing up there when we were kids. Um, everything under the sun. Like I said, anything other than a black bear, predator like type animal.
Yeah. Did you go out to investigate?
No, I did not. I don't know. First of all, I don't remember my brother being in the home that day.
Sure.
And I think if he had been home, maybe, but I think that at 12 and being a girl, I
Oh yeah.
think there was the part of me that was scared, not
Yeah.
scared, but just unsure.
Right.
Because none of these encounters ever made me feel afraid.
Okay. Good.
There was another time up on that road before the other end of the road. We lived on Robinson Road.
Mm-hmm.
The other end of the road was Fish something. That was the part that was not paved. We were up in there and we smelled a smell that I don't know how to even describe it. It was rancid, but it was not a dead animal.
Mm.
And it was myself, my brother, and my mother, and we had one of the dogs with us. And the line on the middle of her back was up.
Mm.
And I remember one of us making the comment that we were being watched.
Mm. What kind of dog was it?
We had, oh, she was 45 pounds, soaking wet, female Samoyed. So the white husky like dog where the
Oh,
tail curls over the
gotcha.
back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Super cool.
So she was a vicious hunter.
Mm.
Nothing crossed our property without her killing it.
Wow.
Woodchucks, possums, skunks, moles, voles. She killed it. She killed skunks and never got sprayed.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Pretty talented, pretty
Yeah.
talented.
Very talented. Yeah.
We had a German Shepherd Husky mix, which would probably double the weight of her.
Mm-hmm.
And he was having the battle royale with the woodchuck, and
Oh
he was
wow.
losing.
Oh.
And she ran right over there and picked up that woodchuck and killed it.
Wow.
So she was with us, and I don't think I mean, we had her for 13 years. As long as she lived, we had her from a puppy she died at the age of 13. And I never saw that line on her back like that other than that day.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
So she knew
what it,
something was going
yeah,
on here.
yeah,
Did you hear any branches breaking or
nothing, nothing,
nothing? Hmm.
nothing. And it's silent because there would be no traffic, there would be there wouldn't be I live in the city of Utica now, so there would be out there there would be no noise pollution
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
Nothing. We heard nothing, but I don't, as I remember, the statement was, let's just keep going. I
Yeah,
think my mother said, let's just keep going.
makes
There was
sense.
no stopping to investigate. Now, today, if that happened to my brother and I, we probably would be camping there all night long, waiting for something to happen. But back then, whatever. We
Yeah,
were kids.
right,
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, any emotion at the time? Did you
Uh
did you
that
did you feel
that
fearful that time or no?
that time I other than feeling I maybe there was a little bit of fear, but it was definite felt like we were being watched or
Mm,
followed by something.
right.
But again, you know, uh, wildlife and abundance of wildlife and what it could have been at that time. But I remember we came down around the corner. I remember somebody saying something about the stench. And then I remember the dog reacting
Right.
and that line on her back.
Which is uncommon.
I never saw in her ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
That is the only time that I ever saw that with her.
Hmm.
Not with another dog, not with other, I mean, all the kids that were in the neighborhood. If we went sledding, I mean, it was, everybody went sledding. That's what you did. Everybody got together and we used that big open field in the top of their cow pasture.
Right.
Um, So, yeah, I mean, that was not her personality. I don't think at 45 pounds, I don't think she was afraid of anything.
Right. Right.
So, that was the only time I ever saw that.
So how what's the proximity of the three
Less
different experiences?
less than a half mile,
All within less than half mile. Okay, great.
half a mile. I mean, the one where where the beds of hay were
Mm-hmm.
and the sighting were talking feet, like literally, honest to God, from the kitchen window where I saw what I saw,
Yeah.
and the beds probably 20 feet.
Wow.
And then the sighting, like I said, maybe 300 feet,
Yeah.
if that far.
From the house. But
Yep.
this is all in a very small area where you've had three separate experiences.
Oh yeah. At least three separate experiences, at
Okay.
least.
At least. What else
Yeah.
you got?
Well, so another time with that same dog,
Uh-huh.
we had a spot in the house, or she had a spot in the house that was hers.
Yeah.
And my brother and I would have been the only two people in the house that would be allowed to go into that space. If my mother or my stepfather, my dad would try to go into that space, she would show her teeth.
Mm.
She was very territorial about that spot in the house.
Okay.
So it was a day like today. It was rainy, crappy outside, cold outside,
Yep. Yep.
and we were in the corner with her little corner, hanging out. And let's say mom and dad were taking a Sunday afternoon nap. Um, and all of a sudden she started to growl and she was watching the windows on the back side of the living room, which faced the woods.
Okay.
And so my brother and I are looking, and we saw the largest human shaped. shadow go in front of those windows.
Oh no.
Uh, but again, you couldn't hear anything. You couldn't, there was no noise. There was silence. It was the weirdest thing. And then it
Yeah.
was over. And then I don't think that we ever said anything to my parents about it whatsoever at all. As soon as the shadow went by and was gone from the view of the window, she went right back to being completely fine.
Hmm.
But whatever drew her attention, which made us then look, which my brother and I then only caught the shadow of a human like figure. And again, it would be not no, but there would be nobody out there. There was nothing out there.
Wow.
So that's it. I don't really for me, those are the only unexplained experiences.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what I saw. I know how old I was. I will
Yep.
never forget that moment when I laid eyes on the only thing that I've ever been able to attribute it to would be what people refer to as Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's a lot. And I've heard that the shadow going by the windows before from a couple other folks. Now, did it go by each window individually, or just you seen the shadow go across all at the same time?
It just kept in motion. Like
Yeah.
the three windows are together
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
and just like they were in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Three windows together in the living room, three windows together. It just moved. It and the weird thing about that shadow to me is I don't attribute it to the same thing that I visually saw because the shadow that I saw that day flowed.
Mm.
It just moved from left to right.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was walking.
Oh, gotcha.
Where when I witnessed Bigfoot walking across the field, that's
Hmm.
what I was so the stride, the length of the stride, the movement that he had. He was not running, he wasn't jogging. It
Yeah.
was just in steps, but I could visually see the stepping, where is the shadow was just a move from left to right.
Right. Right.
It did look human in form, and the cast of the shadow was ginormous,
Mm.
but to me it was not stepping like what I saw stepping and moving in that field.
Right. Right. Hmm. I wonder if it was a bright moon that night.
No, it was daytime, but it was dreary
Oh,
outside,
gotcha.
like like it is today. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Oh,
is
okay.
just a cloudy, overcast, cold, rainy day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. New York.
I know. Yes, it is.
Not so
Yes,
great.
it is.
So, at what age did you start putting the pieces together and say, "Hey, these experiences I've had throughout my life, there's got to be something to them."
I think that my brother and I always communicated about that kind of thing.
Sure.
Um, Big family secret now, before we moved there. So that land was given to my dad from his grandfather.
Oh, great.
And when he was putting the homestead in there, so he laid concrete for the modular and he laid concrete for the barn.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been there, it would have been late at night, midnight or better, and he saw something and would never tell us what he saw
Ah.
and was very disturbed by it.
Hmm.
Um, I got the impression through the communication was that it was of outer space
Hmm.
and not like, oh, I saw Bigfoot
Right.
or I saw some animal that I can't explain. Um, but even to this day, we're not privileged. We're not privileged to that conversation. He will not speak of it. He will not talk of it.
Hmm.
He shared a little bit with my mother.
Yeah.
Um, and my brother still lives out there. And my brother has seen some additional things
Yeah.
that would continue on this same path of being either out of this natural world or back towards seeing signs and or things of Bigfoot.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow. So, so you guys always were kind of conscious that something was going on, right?
yeah.
And then when did you start getting into Bigfoot and start doing a little research down that alley?
Um, so I probably as a teenager, I probably read anything and everything that I could read,
Yeah.
especially about remember reading about some stuff that happened out in Oregon. Um, they were building roads and they would come to work the next day and the equipment would be gone, pushed over a cliff, things of that nature. And like I said, my dad always had besides having his logging business and cutting wood on the side, he was a heavy equipment operator. And I remember when I was a kid, he had a bulldozer
Mm.
that uh, is the size of my home. I have a two-family home in East Utica. I
Yeah.
mean, he had an Alice Chalmer bulldozer. So when you're reading these stories about equipment that is that big to build roads
Right.
in
Right.
on the West Coast, you know that this is, like I'm thinking to myself, I can put the size into some kind of perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did it just end up over the side of the cliff?
Yeah.
And footprints and stuff like that. And then just a big fan of like watching Finding Bigfoot,
Oh, great.
paranormal
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But I more than anything, for me, when you start looking at individual stories about Bigfoot, how can my story be so similar to somebody I've never met before?
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
When describing the way, and then watching these people that have been on this quest forever go to another country
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the similarities to the size, to the coloration, to the way the fur or the hair looked. How can that match what I know I saw if there's not something out there that we just haven't been able to put some DNA on it
Yeah.
or to
Yeah.
put it in a zoo or to, so
Yeah. There's
it
something
whole,
I don't remember what the
yeah,
number is, like 10 million or 6 million, 8 million species still undiscovered on the planet. So who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know. But yeah, and there's talks of giants in the Bible.
Yes.
Native culture has spoken of it before, anyone even arrived to America.
Yep.
So there's so much documentation, and then from around the world, right? You hear things from Australia and Russia and China. There's a lot. There's just all around the world. So it's very interesting, and it's gone back so far that how could there be nothing, right? So
Right.
that's exactly why I'm here. There has to be something, right?
Something. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Um, so hopefully one day we'll figure that out. Um, yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share. I know that, sometimes it could be difficult bringing back some old memories, but you said you didn't have any fear, so that's good. That makes me
No, no fear. Like I
yeah.
wasn't like there's been other times I've done some pretty wild things in my life and been on the emergency squad and went and picked up
Uh
bodies here and there and I've seen something. I was in the military. I've seen some things in my life
yeah.
and there have been a few times in my life where I was actually paralyzed with fear.
Wow.
I never got that sense
Yeah.
um with anything that I saw growing up out there
Great.
at our family home.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
That's a
my
good.
brother still lives out there, and he's still alive and kicking.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's awesome. And you talk like it's so far away. It's not that far from where you're at.
Like 40, 45 minutes from
Yeah.
where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah, not that far. It just is it's such a contrast, right? Like
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't think that I could go and live out in the middle of nowhere anymore. Could I go camping for the weekend, for the week? Could I do, stay at Blue Mountain, for 10 days? Sure, I could.
Right.
But to say that it would be ideal, there's been times when I've gone home and I've thought to myself, if something does happen, there's nowhere to go.
Right. Yeah. 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 True.
Here I have somewhere to go. Like just run outside and there's a house next door.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's different. I grew up in the city and now I live in the woods. So I did the opposite.
Right.
I did
Right.
the opposite of
Right.
what you did.
Right.
Um, Yeah, but you're right. But what you saying that you didn't really have any fear, you didn't feel fearful or afraid. That's a good
No.
sign. I mean, that makes me think that there was no reason to be, right? Um,
Yeah.
you may be in a friendly situation there, and you know it is what it is, and you're susceptible to possibly seeing or interacting with Bigfoot. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And growing up out there, even though we had a lot of wildlife, like our neighbor, they were farmers.
Yeah.
I don't recall there ever being a murdered chicken, a murdered
Mm.
cow, a murdered calf. They raised horses. I don't remember there ever being anything that said, "Oh my God, we need to be afraid."
Right.
There
Right.
were things like, like when you sometimes you would hear the coyotes howl and stuff like that.
Yep.
Not a fear, but like, oh, it's an odd feeling. It's an odd sound. It's not a great sound. You
Right.
can tell that they're hunting in a frenzy, and you know, most people would say they're not good for the environment. They'll steal your cat or your dog or a little kid off a back porch. So it's not a popular animal, but I don't, in any of my situations, I never felt afraid ever.
Awesome. That's good. That's real good.
Yeah.
Um, and you sent me the address in message, right? Was that the
Um,
address you sent me?
actual physical address, I didn't, but I can.
I'm sure I can find, no,
Robinson Road and
yep,
Raymond Fish Road. So Robinson Road um, is the end that we lived on,
right.
and
And
Raymond Fish Road was the end back when I was a kid that was never paved
yeah.
and was seasonal.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha.
paved now and not seasonal, but it still would be a trip through there in the wintertime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll see how t my time works out this week, and on my
yeah,
way down to Binghamton or back, maybe take a cruise through, grab a little bit of footage. That'd be cool.
yeah, it would be.
Yeah, super cool. Awesome. Did you have anything else you wanted to share?
No, I'm storied out, I'm
Uh,
sure.
all right, Faith. Well, you shared a lot, and like I said, I appreciate you sharing with us. It means a
Yeah.
lot. Um, and I'll put some things together, and I'll keep you posted so that you know what's going on. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and feel
That
free
would
to
be wonderful.
yeah, and keep in touch. You're now part of the family, so
Wonderful.
keep in touch all you like. And maybe one day we can get out there and take a look around.
Oh, my brother would love, love to show you around. I'm 100% like, yeah, like,
Cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm down. I'm down for
Okay.
that. Yeah.
All right.
Let them know.
I
But
will.
I'll keep in touch with you, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.